Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I hope you're having a good Monday. Today we're going to be playing in the Rain, and the suite is called Rain or Shine. We're going to use elements of the suite. We're not using the whole suite today, but we are using elements of it. And we're going to be using the paper. And so I thought I'd show you the paper now. I've been really using this quite heavily. So this one is actually more green and flowers down here, but this is the only piece I have left of this particular style. And it's checked on the back. Then we have these beautiful umbrellas, and they've got this gloss over some of the pieces. Now this small umbrella, the dies will actually cut it out. Then we have the Stormy, and it's quite textured, and it's got the same, sort of like a plastic feel to it. Looks like raindrops. Then we have not quite so stormy. I'll flip this over and show you the second time. Then we have these animals, a little pig and a little dog and a turtle. Now this particular sheet you'll have to fussy cut out, but that's okay. And then there's this sheet that has the larger animals, and these all can be cut out with a die. And then on the back side, flip this over, we have more subtle colors and just some yellows and pinks and stuff. So anyhow, this is the paper we're going to be using today. And let me show you what we're going to be making. But before I do that, I'll let you know that all the dimensions and all the product I use are going to be listed below in the description bar. You'll also find a link to my online store. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. You'll find my email address. If you have any questions, you can drop me an email. If you live locally in the Vancouver, Portland area and you want to host a Stampin' Up! Party, you can send me an email and we can work something out. Also, there is a link to my Facebook group, and please remember to share and like and subscribe to this channel if you like what you see, because I am still trying to get the channel to grow. Once we get up to 1,000 people, I can have lives, which I'm hoping to do at that point. So until then, we'll have to settle for pre-recorded tapings. So let's move on to the project and let me show you what we're making. We are making a triple easel card. And this is what it looks like when it's down. And I did a lot of die cutting and a little bit of fussy cutting on some of this, but you can see get this in the right light. You can see it, this hat and his little jacket on the fox are all shiny. And then you can see also, this is the Stormier card I've used on this card. Basic gray and balmy blue, and then the very stormy weather on this one. And then if you open it up this way, the next layer has a bunny. And the next layer has a nice little turtle. And it all stands up like that. I'll try to put it on its side so you can see how it looks when it's stand. It's a little hard to do with this angle, but do my best here. Do it this way. So it looks like this when it's standing, and it sits up on the table this way. We've made a little stopper here so everything hooks in. On the bottom piece, we've used the green paper. That's why one of the reasons I'm getting a little low on the green. And you sign this card, it all folds back down, and you can sign it on the back. And I've actually put in one of the little turtles. Now, this is actually one I've die cut. On the edge of the paper, there's like halves of and quarters of animals, and you can die cut those out and use them on the edges of your cards. So anyhow, we're making a version of this, a little bit different coloring. And so let's get started. Also, I did not do an envelope for this one. Normally I do an envelope. I've used dimensionals on this, so it is really quite thick. So I would recommend a hand carry is always nice, but if you do need to send this in an envelope, I would recommend using a 5x7 envelope or a padded envelope. So this is a 5x7 envelope, which I'm sure many of you have, and put a little cover sheet cardboard in here to help protect it. It will need extra postage though, because it is, if you squish it down, it's about a 1/2 inch thick. But it's a great card. I really like making these. They're a lot of fun. I know I've seen several other people make these. This is my version of it. But I've seen different people's versions, and they're all, some are very similar. I need a lot of them use 12 by 12 paper. This one does not. And so it makes it a little easier to use lots of different colors because you don't have to buy the 12 by 12 packs. So let's move on to the project. So I'm going to get all my pieces out here. And there's a few. So, and I did mark a lot of them. So let me get these separated and then we will go through the pieces. These are the ones I've already die cut out just to make our lives easier. Set those off to the side and we will go through all of these extra pieces. Now this one this is going to go on the back. We're missing, he got the full body but no bottom, so we'll use him at the bottom of the card. So anyhow, these two we'll set aside for later. They're for the back of the card. And I'm just sorting my pieces here so I have all of them. There's a lot of little pieces to this, and there's that one. Okay, so let's set these to side, and let's work on the Night of Navy first. Now, there's 5 pieces of Night of Navy. This one is 4 by 8, and this is 4 by 4. Now, these will make the first part of the easel. This is 3 by 9. That will make the second part, and this is 2 by 6. That is the third easel. This is a piece that is 4 by 5, and it is the base of the card. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to score each of these. Move a few things out of my way, so I grab my scoring tool. And you can do this on your trimmer if you choose to. So we're not going to score anything on the 4 by 4. On the 4 by 8, you are going to score it at 4 and 6. And we're all scoring these on the longest pieces. On the 3 by 9 card, you are going to be scoring that at 3 inches, 4.5, and 6. And on the 2 by 6, you are scoring this at 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that is all the scoring for this. Sorry, I have to do something before it falls down. So now we're going to burnish this. We'll start with the big one first, and we'll get the base over here. So on the 4 by 4, we're not going to be doing any scoring with. On the 4 by 8, where we fold, we're going to burnish all those score lines like this. Now, I'm going to burnish this other one back the other way as well. Because what you want when you look at the card, hang on here. You want to look at it. When you look at it, I'm going to show you on one of the smaller ones. It's easier because you can visualize it easier. Because you do them exactly the same way. Fold each of the score lines. And what you want is you want it to look basically like an M, okay? Because what you're going to do is hook this to here, and then this becomes your piece that stands up like that. So this is the piece. So pretend this is already hooked. If this was a 12-inch piece, you could use a 12-inch piece and just score it at that point, but we didn't. So this is my M right there, and we're going to attach this piece to the top of that, which will give us the front of our easel. Hopefully I explained that well. This is how you get away from using the 12 by 12 paper. So you're going to put glue on, or tear and tape, or whatever you want on this one. And then what I like to do is I like to take and just put this on here, pick this up. This one will fold back on itself, and just start pushing it around to make sure I've got it nice and square. So this had been a 12 by 12. You would have scored it at 4, 6, and 8. But without doing the 8, we just cut the extra piece and glue it on, so we don't have to use a 12 by 12. So there's the first piece. So here's the small one we did. So we want it to go like that. Like I said, there's our M. Take one of the flaps and glue it down. And that's the little one. And then we'll grab this one and bone fold it. And you do want to make sure that you give these all a good burnish. So make sure I've got my M. Here's your M. Take this one. Here's your glue. And close it up. So now we have our 3 tears. So there's this one this way. Okay. Now, you could put it all together on your base. I really prefer to put all the pieces on the cards first and do my matte layers. And this is a matted card on mine. You don't have to. You could do the bigger size and not mat it if you choose to. So these 2 pieces are for this top section. They are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square of Balmy Blue. One of them is going to have the raindrops. Now this is the one that's not quite so stormy, and you want to make sure it is directional because your raindrops are coming down. And so you want to make sure to glue that on or tape, whatever you choose. We're going to just quickly mount all these. I'll tell you the sizes as we go. There's 1/4 inch margin on everything on this one. And this is the flower paper I cut, and that's going to go on the bottom piece. And then the next one, we have Zach's 2 pieces, exact same. And there is 2 pieces. They are 2 by 3 1/4 of Balmy Blue. And oh, I should have told you the size of this one. All the dimensions will be below. This is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, these squares. These are 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. They just went down 1/4 inch. Like I said, all the dimensions will be listed below. Like I said, you could put the card together first. I just find it much easier. You have less bulk to handle. And then the next 2 pieces are 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. And the little squares are 1 1/2 by 1 1/2. Okay. Don't think I got enough glue right there. I missed a corner. Sometimes happens. Okay. So let's go ahead and mount these on. So this is going to go on the larger piece. So make sure this is our front. That's going to stand up this way. So we put our raindrops going down on that one. This is why I said it's much easier to do this while it's still not hooked together, because you could move around everything nice and flat. And then this is our grass to sit on the bottom. Lots of flowers in our grass, but that's okay. I like flowers in the grass. And there's that one. Set that off the side. We'll do the next one. Oop, almost put the raindrops going the wrong direction. We don't want that. Yeah, I heard one of our, Sam Donald out of the UK, she was putting some of the raindrop paper on, started to put it upside down. She said, can't have that. She said the raindrops were going the other direction, the world would be coming to an end. I have to agree with her on that one. That's rather cute. And that one and this one. Okay, now we'll get this 4x5 base. Now, there's also a piece of Balmy Blue that is 1x4. And I'll show you where that goes in just a second. First, we're going to take the larger piece now. We're going to fold it in half so that we're looking at the blue. So that's the top. And what we want to do is adhere it to this base like this. Okay? Like I said, you could use tape and stuff. I just find trying to line everything up, it's much easier with glue. Because then you can pick it up and push everybody the right direction. Like that. Okay, so that's on the base. Next, we're going to put our Balmy Blue in. And that's going to fill in this little gap right here. And you could use Night of Navy if you wanted to. I mean, you could use whatever you wanted. Let's see how we did. Oh, pretty good. Now we're hanging over just a tiny hair here. To me, that's not going to make that much difference. If it bothers you, you can always go back and trim it. I may at the end. I don't know yet. So now we're ready to put the next piece in. So this is where you need to decide where you want them. And I usually come down maybe a 1/4 inch from the last blue right here in the center, and try to keep it in the center as close as possible. And we're going to glue it down. So I'm going to put glue on this one. And I'm going to come down about a 1/4 inch from the last one. And try to keep it as even as possible. Hold it first just a second until we make sure it's going to hit here. Then we're going to open that one. And this one's going to come down about another 1/4 inch that way. And lining it up on both pieces there. So that's the base of our card. Now we will be putting a stopper in, but we're going to have to stamp our stopper and then decorate this. But that's the start of the card. So let's move on to some stamping and very little coloring. This is the back. Now you can put anything you want on the back, but this is the back of my card in this 3 3/4 by 4 3/4 Balmy Blue. And then I have a back that is 3 1/2 by 4 1/2 of basic white. And I'm going to stamp Oh Happy Day in Night of Navy. Right in the center there. And then I have my little guy here, and I'm going to put him down at the bottom and line him right up at the edge of the paper. So all those little halves and quarters you could actually use for decoration inside your cards and stuff. Don't throw them away. They're still useful. So put that little guy there. And we'll glue this on. All right, so that's the back, and we'll put that on in just a second. Now we need to make a stopper. And what I have here, this is a piece that is 3 3/4 long by 3 1/4 wide. And did have a piece of scratch paper around here somewhere, because this will work. Because we're going to take the little flowers in the set and some memento. I'm going to move this down a little bit, and I'm going to start in the middle. And I'm going to come off this side here and come off this side a little bit. So it looks like that. Let's cover this back up. And we're going to let that sit and dry for a second because I'm going to color that in and I don't want the memento bleeding on me. So we're going to first flip over the card, close everybody up. And now I've looked at this and I've decided I do want to trim that. So it's hanging over just a little, flip it over. Because sometimes when you go to put these together, the measurement's just a hair off, but it just takes that much of a haircut. It's just a thin little piece. Flip that open. Make sure your cards go in the right direction. That on there. Oh dear. You see what I have? I have black ink. I don't know if that's going to come off with this or not. Nope. We're going to have to figure out something to do with that. We'll think on that for a few minutes and then we'll come back to that. I have ink on my finger and did not realize it, but we'll think of something. Now that that's sat for a few seconds, you can use blends if you're, on this if you want. I just grabbed some markers here. This is Daffodil Delight, and I'm doing the inside of the flower real quick. And you can make it some other kind of, excuse me, you can make some other kind of stopper if you want, but I thought a nice thing of flowers would be nice. And this is Pear Pizzazz. Putting a little color in the leaves. And this is Flirty Flamingo, and I picked the Flirty Flamingo because we are going to be using one of these. This is out of the same paper I cut those things out, but there's no die to cut out, so I just fussy cut it. And we're going to actually use that on the inside of the card. In the front of the card. So that's why I picked Flirty Flamingo. And I'm just doing a quick color job here. I'm not going for perfection. And it does take just a second to color, but not bad. You could actually use one of those as a stopper if you wanted. Put it up on dimensionals and use that as a stopper. But I actually cut two out, and I think one of those is going to go on the back of the card to cover up the black fingerprint I have on my card. I'll show you what I'm thinking about here in just a second. Okay, so I colored that real quick. And then I'm going to grab a blending brush and a little bit of Pear Pizzazz. It's just too stark white for me. Come off here. And I mean, I am putting just a touch of Pear Pizzazz, literally. just to take it so it's not white. Okay, so now it's to our little creatures. So first we have our fox, and then we have the bunny, and then I have one of these I've cut out as well. So let's grab some dimensionals and put them on. I don't want to use up those sides because I've got other projects I want to use the sides for. So let's grab us a new sheet. Put a couple on the turtle here. Oop. Gotta mind the turtle. His head's going to stick up a little bit. Put more on the body. And I'm going to put one on here. And this is what I wanted the strips for. Just a little too much there. I'm going to put the strips going down this side. Some down this side. No, we're not quite done with that part yet, but that's what I wanted the strips for, because it's just, you could put them all dimensionals across there, but it's, I found it easier just to use the strips. So we're going to place our little guy right about here, and we're going to put our little green. I'm going to put a dimensional on him. And we're going to put his flowers here. And the next one's going to be the bunny. We're not quite done with these yet, but I want to get these guys mounted. And let him stick about there. And here comes our turtle. That's why I kept his towards the bottom. He's going to come almost down. His head's going to lift up. I should have put one more there. There we go. Okay, so then we have all these guys here. Now, they look to me like they were floating out in space, you know. They don't have anything under the feet. So I took my little pear pizzazz marker. Now, keep in mind, this has a plastic coating, so it's not going to color in on the plastic that well, but it dries pretty well. On the other one, it dried really quite well, so I'm assuming it will dry on these too. And I'm just putting a little bit under his feet here like this. Now you could also take the dye, you could cut this one out of green and put it under his feet also. Instead of a mud puddle, make it a little patch of grass. And this one I didn't do anything because it was sticking out, but this, it dries in between the thing and it separates off the other, so it seems to be okay. So we got those guys all mounted. Now we need to get this piece in here. Now, I'm going to put this stopper in so it's covering this here. But if you put it here, you've got all this bulk, and this is too low on this side. So on either side of this, we need to double up on our dimensionals to get a little more height. So I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to use some pieces here. On this end piece, we need to just double up just a little higher in the very end, just to add a little height. So it's just doubled up on the dimensionals there on the ends. And we put him down. See, he has flowers he's walking in, so it doesn't matter. Like that. And that goes like this. And this goes like this. Once you get it all standing up, sometimes also, if it's not standing up well, take your bone folder and go back in and burnish this piece again. You have to go individually. You see what I'm doing? I'm burnishing that fold line again. They're a little awkward to get to, but you can do it because that will help everybody stand up a lot. Not well, except if you're not finger knocks it over, but that will help everybody stand up a little nicer like that. Because, like I said, you need to burnish well, and sometimes you have to do a second burnish after you've flipped it back and forth. So that's the card with all the little cute creatures. I bent his head a little bit, but that's okay. You may have to, after you send it to somebody, you may put a note in there. It does stand up, and if they call you and you say, if you can't figure it out, call me, I'll tell you how. Because I've actually had that happen. But they're a fun card, and it's something somebody can set on their desk and get a good chuckle out of and laugh out about it. Now, I do have that blob in the back of this card. So, a moment ago here, I had the flower. I know it's over his head, but that's okay. You know, I think it will be fine. Or maybe a couple butterflies. A butterfly here and a butterfly there would do the trick too. Just a moment here. The reason I said a butterfly is because the butterflies lay virtually flat. Watch your hands if you have black or navy blue ink on them. But I believe, goodbye black spot. And I have another one right there. So now he has a little butterfly coming off of his flower there. That took care of the black spots. And you could add more butterflies, or more, embellishments if you wanted. I tried to keep it fairly simple. I knew who this was going to, and I know it's for a guy, actually. So he will actually get a good kick out of this card. But design this. You can design with any kind of paper you want. I just wanted to show off these cute animals, and so that's what I did. So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you on Wednesday. Have a wonderful day, and give this a try. Like I said, it's a fun card. You can do it with any stamp set you have, any paper you have. So, go out and have fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.